All right, I don't know about you, but I'm super excited that Christmas is over.
Yep.
We got through the holidays. Kids will go back to school next week, so that will be great. But now it's time to start, thinking about what you want to accomplish in 2023. I know our team, for the past 2 months, we've been talking about what we want to accomplish team-wise, business-wise. However, there's folks out there that are thinking about possibly purchasing a house, and that could be a goal that they have for their 2023 New Year's resolution. So what we're going to do today is talk about 5 tips that might help you as you think about purchasing a home in 2023. All right, the number one resolution to work on is to work on your credit score. Getting your credit score as high as possible is going to get you the very best rate. It's going to get you lower monthly mortgage insurance if you have to carry mortgage insurance, if you're not putting 20% down. So the higher your credit score is, the better rate you're going to get, right? Yep. Conventional has a minimum credit score of 620. However, with a 620 credit score, you're not going to get the very best rate. If you had a 740 credit score, you'll get the very best pricing that mortgage companies will be able to offer. So I would say work on your credit score. One tip that I would tell you and what I use is called MyFICO.
Yep.
We use that for our credit. We monitor our credit. It shows you can look at the score daily and it will fluctuate up and down whether or not you had, something went on your credit card, a balance went, or you made a payment. It fluctuates. Yep. So it's really cool to see your credit score. It's also very, very accurate to what a mortgage company will pull. So when we purchased our home in August, my credit score was within a couple. Our credit score was within a couple points of what my FICO was. So yes, it costs about $50 a month, but it's a great tool to use to monitor and to find out what your credit score is. So first tip is to work on your credit score, get that credit score as high as possible.
The second tip we want to talk about is paying down debt. So some people think of it as the analogy of eating the elephant in one bite at a time. So debt is considered like a large elephant. You're not going to pay it all down at one time. You're going to pay it down little by little. So they talk about paying off your store credit cards because those usually have higher interest rates. And then you move on to credit cards that have higher interest rates. So you work at highest interest rate first and then work your way down, continuing to make your payments on them. And then once you pay a credit card off, you take that extra money and put it towards the other ones to help get those paid off a lot quicker. Yeah,
absolutely. So that's a good strategy. Pick the highest interest rates, try to chip away at that each month. Because the reality is when, as a mortgage company, when we pull someone's credit, if they've got a debt, and let's say it's like a $2,000 debt, but it's a $100 payment or a $150 payment, that's going toward like chipping away at their debt to income, and it could make them not qualify for the house that they want.
Absolutely.
So I'll give you an example. We had a client that had about $300 worth of credit card debt for, I want to say right around $3,000 to $3,500 worth of actual debt, but the payment was like close to $300. Well, that $300 is chipping away at what so basically you have the option of paying off those credit cards before closing, so that way you could purchase a larger house. But some people might not have the means to pay off the $3,000. So if you're thinking about buying, start chipping away at those credit cards to get those payments to zero, so that way you can afford more house.
Yep. Absolutely.
So tip number 3 is save for your down payment. Now, there are a lot of programs that for first-time home buyers that start as low as 3% and go all the way up to 20% or more. If you are doing 3 to 3.5% down, you're going to have monthly mortgage insurance. Keep that in mind. Anything under 20%, you'll have monthly mortgage insurance. So if you can put 20% down, obviously that's going to get you a lower payment, and you're not going to have mortgage insurance. However, let's be honest, a lot of people don't have 20% unless they owned a home previously, they sold that home, and they were able to roll that equity. And like we purchased a home years and years ago, we rolled that equity, like one of our houses, we rolled that equity into that house, and then we rolled this equity into this new house that we purchased. So we were lucky that we were able to do that, but some people that are first-time home buyers or just starting out might not be able to do it. But our first house, like our first 2 houses, we put 3.5% down. We did FHA 3.5% down, and on the last house we purchased, we put 25% down, right?
Yep.
So, but the reason we put 25% down is because we had the equity from those houses, right? So, there are a lot of programs that can get you into a house with 3.5% down or even 3% down. There's also down payment assistance if you have a certain job type. We can also help you with down payment assistance up to $25,000, 5% of the purchase price to help you with down payment and closing costs. So there are programs out there where you could get into a house with zero money out of pocket, depending on the type of job that you have. There's also VA loans. Yep. So there are other loans that can help you get into a house with minimal down payment. But the cool thing is you keep that house for 5 to 10 years, and then say you want a bigger house or you want to downsize, now you have the equity that you've built in that house to purchase your next house.
Yep.
So home ownership is absolutely amazing. Now, if you bought in 2008 and the market crashed, you lost money, but the reality is 10 years later, the values went back up and you had the equity. So, markets go up and down. Home ownership is one of the best things out there. It really is. So, but down payment's important. Chat with us. We can go over all of the options to, tell you exactly, what's the best option for you.
So tip number 4, avoid large purchases. So if you're trying to buy a home, you don't want to go out and purchase a vacation for the family. You don't want to go buy that new car, buy jewelry, buy the kids anything. Anything that furniture, you don't want to go, anything that's going to put you in more debt, you don't want to do prior to buying a home. The reason why is those debts will turn into payments, which will then affect your debt ratio, which will affect how much of a house you can buy.
Yeah, I mean, it literally, think about this, like we talked about step 1, 2, and 3, but if you go out and start doing large purchases, you're pretty much killing your credit score is going to be lower.
Yep.
Your debt to income is going to be higher, right? You're not paying off debt.
Nope.
Okay, so you're basically doing all the things that you're not supposed to do.
Correct.
I mean, you might have a year where you're not going on those cool vacations, right? Or you're not buying the latest and greatest thing, but you're going to be in a house with your family that's yours, that you're building equity. And I am so passionate about people owning homes because you're every month you're paying, let's say you rent, you're paying someone else's mortgage. That landlord is basically getting rich off of you, right? Yep. It's crazy to think that some people wouldn't want to buy a home. They'd want to rent, and they'd want to. Now, there might be scenarios where people need to rent.
They have to. Yep.
They're only going to be here for a year. It makes sense to rent. But why are we spending $2,500 a month? And we know rents have gone up
through the roof.
So why are we spending $2,500, $3,000 a month on someone's rent when I can own a home with as little as 3.5% down?
People don't like to make the small sacrifices leading up to it. If they could only see the quality of life they have or the happiness the new home will bring their family. If they could only see that, giving up the small things throughout the year would be all worth it.
Now, don't get me wrong. Things break in the house. We had a water leak under our sink, and I was like, this sucks. I hate having a home. But, the reality is those things offset actually owning a home. There's so many benefits to owning a home. All right, our tip number 5 is avoid starting a new job. Now, you can, if you're in the same industry, so let's say you are a teacher and you left that school and now you're going to go to another school, but you're still a teacher.
Yep.
That's okay, right? You can do that. You can transfer that job.
Because it's the same line of work.
Let's say you're a nurse and you leave one hospital and you're going to go to another. Same line of work, right? Yep. That's okay. As long as you have a letter from the new employer with what your salary requirements are and things like that, and you get a paycheck stub before closing, things like that, you're going to be okay.
Yes.
However, let's say you're a teacher and then you want to become a real estate agent, or you're a teacher and you want to go into the financial industry. They're not going to do a loan for you for 2 years because they want to see a period of time, a 2-year history, that you've done the job and you're making X amount of money each year. So don't switch jobs. Another one is, let's say you are a W-2'd employee right now, and we've had this happen before. Yes. They're W-2'd, and then they go and they
get 1099.
They go 1099, and they're self-employed now. Well, guess what just happened? Now the lender wants to see 2 years of self-employed income.
And haven't we seen it at the same company where they...
100%. Oh, yeah, 100%.
And it's still...
Well, and a lot of people are like, well, I've worked for this company for 5 years.
Doesn't matter.
I just switched to be 1099, you can see my income for the past 5 years.
Nope. It's
Well,
different.
lenders want to see that income is gonna remain for the 2 years. That they want to see that income is gonna stay the same. So definitely, if you're thinking about buying a home, and I don't care if you're thinking about buying a home in 2023 or 2024, you need to think about the job that your job situation. Don't go 1099 if you're W-2'd, if you're thinking about buying a house, because then you're going to need 2 years. Some other programs with good money, if you have a good chunk of money down where you can go maybe 1 year of self-employed income or bank statements, sure, but they're still going to want to see 1 year on the job. So, if you don't change the jobs if you are thinking about buying a home, unless it's in the same industry and you're W-2'd. So that'd be our tip number 5 for you. Looking for more information? Click the link in our bio on Instagram. And if you're on Facebook, go to our profile and find this blog post. Also, if you have a unique situation, you can always DM us.